Hello everyone and welcome to the Journey to Grandmaster series. This is a series where I showcase a few games in my journey to becoming a Grandmaster. The reason I haven't been uploading this series recently, or for months, is because I have been studying a chess endgame book for the past 2 years, or over 2 years, and I finally finished it. So now I'm practicing the actual game now. For the first few days you will see some crazy games, because usually when I take a break and come back to chess, I'm usually dookie for a while until after a few days. So the games today are a bit crazy, but I hope you will enjoy the content. I also hope to start streaming, hopefully next week or in a few days, but we will see what will happen. Well, it depends. But yeah, let's get into our games today. Our first game today starts off with d4, d5. Oh, wait, I need to flip the board. There we go, d5, bishop f4. Basically, mainline London theory. h3 castles, bishop d3. Now we're still in theory. C takes, still theory. And then my opponent plays the mistake g6. I knew this was a bad move, and because of this mistake, I wanted to castle queenside, but I was debating whether to go c2 or e2 for the queen to castle queenside. I made the decision queen c2, which is a bad move. Queen e2 was best because after castles, if you play h4, h5, or move your knight to e5, the queen and rook will be looking at this square, and you can easily sacrifice the rook for the knight and jump in with the queen onto this h7 pawn. That's why e2 is the best move. But I played queen c2. My opponent plays rook e8, a somewhat bad move, preparing e5 at some point. And then I play another bad move, which is long castles. Well, because I played queen c2, I had to castle short, but I did not want to abandon the idea of a kingside attack, so I castled long. Another move here was knight e5 immediately, but I castled long here, going for a kingside attack. He goes queen a5, which is a bad move. I play king b1, protecting. He plays b5, threatening b4. And here, I calculated 2 lines, knight b3, then queen a4. But here I thought this line was a dead end, but it's actually one of the best moves by the engine, because after queen e2, double attacking the pawn, if black were to continue the attack, he would lose the game. So queen e2 just stops the attack. And the other move I was thinking about was h4, which is another best move. But here I was a bit scared of h4 because I saw after b4, h5, knight takes, takes, and takes. This is a mistake, because after king g7 I saw that there's no more attack on the king, and I thought this was a bad move. But instead of taking on h7, if I saw if I saw knight b3, it would have been fine. For example, you have to move the queen and then you take, and now there's basically no more attack on your king, and you are chilling. But I did not see knight b3. The other move that would have been fine instead of bishop takes h7 was actually c4, but I did not see this move. So thinking these 2 lines were bad even though they weren't, I played a3, being passive, keeping it safe, stopping b4 from being played. My opponent plays queen b6. I didn't know why he played it, so I thought it just gave me an extra tempo to start my counterattack h4, which is the best move. And now h5 blocking it, but this is actually a bad move. I forgot to put the bad, let me put it on. Yeah, this is the bad move. And I looked at the chess.com review, and it actually gave this move a brilliancy. Bishop takes g6. I saw that this has weakened the g6 pawn, and in one of my chess books I studied, it says that the bishop and queen together like this are very strong attacking force if it is staring at the king side. And I've seen a lot of Grandmaster games where sometimes the opponent would play this move and they would sacrifice the bishop to attack the king. So I played this move, and after f takes, which is bad, the engine wants black to play b4, c takes, and bishop takes, a takes, and not queen takes, but yeah, bishop a6, check, king takes, and then knight g5 check, and black is still losing, but I guess this was the best chance for him. But f takes, bad move, and now queen takes, and now checkmates are gonna be threatened. King h8, and here I got too cocky. I was winning, I knew I was winning, and I thought I was crushing, which I was, but I spent too little time here. Yeah, what I was taught in my chess books is that if you have a winning, if you're winning, do your best to spend as much time as possible to deliver the final blow, or some crushing blows, and I spent way too little time here. And I was debating whether to play bishop h6 or jump my knight in, but I didn't spend that much time calculating. I thought I can go bishop h6 and then jump my knight in. So I played the bad move, bishop h6. And as soon as I played this move, I realized it was a bad move, because rook g8. Instead of bishop h6, a move like knight e5 was good, because after knight takes, bishop takes, queen b7. The reason why you don't move the rook is because rook h3, and now it's checkmate in 4 moves. So after queen b7, you take the rook, and you're up a rook, h7, and then f7, check, h8, and then you bring the rook in, threaten checkmate, and you'll probably win another piece or two, as he tries to stop checkmate threats. So after the bad move bishop h6, it's kind of a draw now, so rook g8, queen f7, now he goes queen d8, the best move. The goal is to defend the king and to trade off the queen so there's no more attack. And here the only move to fight for a draw was bishop g5 only move, but instead I played knight g5 bad move. And this move allows black to trade the queens forcefully. So queen takes e8, knight takes e8 was played, knight f7 check, king h7, and bishop g5. My goal here was to make a draw, because I messed up. And he's up a whole bishop, but I'm up, 2 pawns, so it should be drawable. But black will have to fight for it, because I did my best with, you'll see I went like 30 seconds to a minute on the clock, the whole endgame. And I did my best to make my opponent think, while he had like many minutes higher. So after bishop takes g5, here I had 2 options, and I was debating between the 2, but I had no time left. I was thinking, okay, I can easily just take and have an outpost here, attacking this pawn, for example, king h6, rook d1, attacking the weak pawn, trying to fight for a draw. And then I thought, what if I made a pass pawn and had threats against this weakness here? And as you can see on the time, I spent a whole minute. I actually played h takes g6, I meant h takes g5 instead. This was slightly worse than this move. Well, it was worse. Harder to defend, but I take, hopefully making problems, creating a passed pawn. He plays king g6, attacking my knight. Knight e5 check, knight takes, pawn takes, and now king takes, which is actually somewhat of a mistake. But then I make a mistake back. Oh, I forgot to put the I forgot to put the little question marks here. But yeah, knight f3 is a bit of a mistake as well. King g6, which is actually good for me, because now he's not threatening f5 after I go knight d4, attacking his pawn and stopping him from coming in. Knight g7 defending, rook d3, getting my rook in to restrict the king and to possibly attack more pawns, because in order to draw you usually have to create so much problems for the opponent they end up making a mistake. So a6 is played for some reason. This is kind of bad. And now here I have 30 seconds left on the clock. But from here on out, I started making my opponent think a lot. He has 6 minutes up to 35 seconds. Make a prediction in the comments section who wins this match. But yeah, let's continue. Rook f3, taking the f file, threatening rook f6, check. The opponent finds the best move, knight f5, because if he played any other move, then I'm definitely probably getting a draw. But this is the only move. This is the only move for black. And after knight takes f5, he takes f5. And now here I played the mistake, f to h3. Here I should have played rook g3 check, but I only had 17 seconds left on the clock. But after king f7, you trade rooks, yeah. And then you take the weak pawn. And the reason why this is a fighting chance for white is because he has two weaknesses and you have a passed pawn. And if you manage to get these 3 pawns up, you probably have a drawing or a winning chance. But I didn't play g3, I was too low on the clock, so I went for this weak pawn instead. And he defends it. And then I play f4, stopping the king from infiltrating. Bishop e6, blockading. King c2, trying to get in, either this way or this way. Rook a c8, trying to enter c4 and come in. Here I play rook g3 check, king f7. Rook g5, my goal was to attack this pawn, while also restricting the king from helping the pawn. So h4, protecting it because my rook cannot come back down. And here, I had a weird feeling since he's playing so fast, that he would make en passant here forced. And en passant, if he takes en passant, I have a slightly better chance to draw the game. So he plays the mistake, or the dubious move. H takes. Let's put the dubious symbol. This allows me to trade rooks, making this a little bit easier for me to try to draw. And then rook takes g3, he attacks my weak pawn, I defend. I guess he tried to zugzwang me, this is not the best move. Rook f2, trying to stop checks because my goal is to come in. Well, at first my goal was to come in via b3. But as you'll see in a bit, b3 is actually a bad move. I had no time left, and I should have went d3 at some point, but we'll get there when we get there. So a5 was played, possibly trying to start something here. And here I played b3 too fast, and I walked into a discover check with a d4. I should have walked in here via d3. But I had no time left to be calculating that much. So I played b3. This makes it way harder for me to try to get a draw, because it's +5 here. And after d4 check, king c2. Now d takes, king takes, because I want to enter. And he only has control over light squares right now. He plays g3 check, helping me come in. And here my opponent started thinking very hard because I was threatening a lot of problems with my king. I was starting to walk in to take these pawns and potentially go h2 and check and win the bishop or something. So my opponent spends a few 2 minutes here playing bishop c4. I actually don't know why this move was played, but I go in with king c5. Here he would have stopped everything with rook d3, stopping my king from infiltrating. But I do have the move h2, and this allows my pawn to possibly come up. But after a4, one of the best moves, I play rook h2, threatening check again. For some reason, my opponent spends 1 minute to think, and he just blunders his rook. Let's put the blunder symbol here. And yeah, he resigns because he lost the rook, and he will soon lose the game after my king comes in. Rook h2, he's forced to stop the check, so I come in with my pawn. And he's also forced to sacrifice his bishop at some point. And then I will either win these pawns and push, or win this pawn and push. But yeah, he loses the game. Okay, so for this match, it's going to be a quick one. It's very short. So it starts off with the Caro-Kann, with e4, e6. Fantasy variation, by the way. Now this opening is dangerous if you do not know the theory for it, or the mainline theory. Because the mainline theory can get dicey if you don't know it. So d takes, f takes, e5, attacking the center, knight f3, pinning the knight to the queen. And here he plays the mistake d takes e5, because now he cannot castle anymore. And this pawn is an easy weakness to exploit. So knight d7 attacking, bishop f4 defending. Now knight e7 threatening g6 to attack the bishop and the pawn. Knight d2, knight g6, and here he blunders his bishop by not defending it or moving it back anywhere, so I take. And here he plays knight d6 check, I take. Knight e5, pressuring the knight, threatening to win material. Bishop e2 defending. And now knight takes e2. It's a little bit of a mistake, it's a bit dubious. The move I should have played was bishop takes, g takes, and long castles on this pawn because he cannot defend it. But here I wasn't thinking that much, as you can see, because he's down material. And this should be very easy to win. So knight takes e2, king takes, long castles attacking, defending, and knight c4 attacking the pawns. He goes e5, and I take the pawn back. Now after rook d4, I somehow hallucinated that my bishop was not protected, so I play a5. I expected h3 to come, but he didn't play it, so he played c4. Now after c4, e8, rook h to e8, threatening discovered attacks. So he gets out of the pin. Now I play knight takes, g takes, and here I wasn't thinking because I was super winning, and the next move I played I thought it was a bad move, but it turned out to be the best move of the engine. And I was a bit freaking out after I played this move. But after I played this move, my opponent disconnected. But the reason I thought this was a bad move, even though it was the best move, was after rook d5, I saw bishop e6, and check, and king d7. But this line was actually the best line of the engine, because I win a pawn in the end, because he cannot defend this pawn. Well, actually he can with the rook d1, and then rook c8. And the engine says rook a5, and then you just win a pawn. I don't know why he wouldn't trade here. Oh, okay, I see. He loses the pawn anyways. But what about b3? Oh, then you got c6. Yeah, I still win a pawn in the end. Okay, on to the third game. Now the third game's kinda long, but I'll try to get through it pretty quickly. So, starts off with another Caro-Kann. And this is, well, it's not the 2 knights variation. It's actually the advanced variation, so I play bishop f5, d3, and I know this move is a bad move in the Caro-Kann, but I wanted to experiment with the move d4. So I played d4. I wanted to experiment. Nothing, I just wanted to see what would happen here. Now c5 is good here because it kind of transposes into the Caro, like the main line or something, if it wanted to. But d5's played, he goes to the outpost, which is kind of a mistake, because after bishop f takes e4, he actually has 2 weak pawns here. And here I actually missed this move, winning the pawn back. And let's say after bishop d2, defending, you take this pawn. I actually missed this, and I played the bad move e6 instead. He plays, the reason why bishop e2 is a bad move here is because again I have a5 check, winning the pawn. And now after c5, bad move. The point of this was I didn't want this pawn to be a weakness, and I wanted to develop my knight to attack this weak pawn here. But again, queen a5 is the best move. So c5's bad, he plays a3, knight c6 attacking, knight f3 defending, knight e7 to attack the pawn by going to g6, bishop f4 defending, and if you remember the last game I showed, you'll see something very familiar, and that being knight g6 attacking both the bishop and the pawn. Bishop g3, I play h5 trying to trap it, h3, h4, and after bishop h2. The bishop is going to be trapped here all game because it cannot move at all, so it'll be stuck here forever. And now after queen c7 attacking the pawn 3 times, he pins my knight, which is a blunder, but I make a mistake because for some reason I'm blind to the move queen a5 check, winning the bishop. And I end up playing the bad move a6 instead, forcing a trade. And he plays castles, which actually loses a pawn. I guess he forgot it wasn't defended. And after queen d3 asking for a trade, here I should have traded, but I was afraid that after c takes, for example, c takes d3, that the c file would be open to attack this weak pawn. But the thing is, this pawn actually isn't weak. For example, a sample line is king d7. Let's say he plays a to c1, rook c8, easily defended. Or you could play b6. After queen d5, rook a c1, I wanted to play c4. And if I play c4 now, he takes the pawn, so I play rook d8, preparing it. Queen b3, and here again I should have traded, best move. For example, queen takes b3, c takes, but I was scared of this pawn being weak, but it will never be weak, because my rook can come in, the bishop is looking at it, my king can walk in. There's so many possibilities here. For example, rook d5, attacking the pawn. I can probably go h5 at some point. But after something like rook f d1 and king d7, everything's safe. The bishop can come, the other rook can come out at some point. But here I play b5, just taking space, allowing him to take me instead, so I can have my rook out on the outpost instead. So queen takes d5, rook takes, now rook fe1 to defend. Bishop e7, my goal is to get my bishop out to attack this pawn and put my rook here, so this pawn will ultimately fall. But he plays b3, stopping any c4 in the future, d8. Then he plays c4 himself, which is a bad move. And he's playing extremely fast here. I remember this guy was blitzing every move out. And as soon as I play d takes c3, he like takes a pause here. He stops playing fast. And I believe en passant stunned him or something. I don't know if he knew en passant was a thing, but he stood here for a second. And then he just plays b4, another bad move. C takes, a takes. And here, I was thinking about a5. I actually saw bishop e7 for a split second, but I started calculating other lines, and I forgot that bishop e7 existed. So I played the dubious move bishop c7, putting pressure on the pawn. But if I played bishop e7, the point is after rook takes c3, you pin the rooks. But after c8 check, d7, takes, his bishop is trapped, his knight has nowhere to go. And you're winning, because you have two passed pawns, you have a free bishop, well, kind of not of a free knight, kind of not a free knight, but you're basically winning. So after bishop c7, dubious move, rook takes d7, defending the bishop, rook ec1, double attacking the bishop, and here I play the bad move bishop takes e5. Now I'm losing. I should have played bishop b6, and I was also thinking rook c8 to defend. But I played the bad move bishop takes e5, and here he plays the bad move bishop takes e5. And here he should have played knight takes e5. I personally thought after knight takes e5 I would be fine. But actually I was not fine. If he were to play knight takes e5, after knight takes e5, rook c7 check, king e8, bishop takes e5, rook takes, he wins the game by winning a free rook. Okay, so after bishop takes e5, knight takes e5, rook c7 check, king d6, knight takes e5, king takes e5, rook takes f7. Now here I play g5. The reason I play g5 is so the king can easily defend the pawn. After rook g7, which is a bad move, my opponent played king f6, attacking the rook and defending the pawn. He plays rook a7. Now after rook d6, defending the pawn, my opponent plays the bad move f3. And this allows rook h to d8, threatening to trade off the rooks. I don't know why, but my opponent leaves a7 by going rook h7. I check, we trade, and I go b1. He goes back to a7. I take, he takes, and here I should have played b2 check, but I wanted to play b3 to kind of restrict him on the second rank. But if I played b2 check, I mean, if he does that I take, but if he defends, he's trapped to the defense of this pawn, and I can push this pawn up and make a queen. But I play b3, dubious move. After rook b6, king f5, king e2, e5, getting the pawn out of the way of the attack as I go f4, g3, rook b7, threatening check. I go f4 because I want him to check me. He goes king f2. Now I play rook b2 check, booting him to, well, he should have played f1, but he plays king e1. Here I play b4. Now he gives me a check. I go king e3, threatening checkmate in 1. Rook d7, defending, check, defending, takes take. And now there's many ways to win here, but I do the simple king and pawn endgame win, where I use opposition to my advantage, and he's in Zugzwang and b3, and he resigns. The fastest win instead of king b3 would be b3, c1, b2, king b1, king b3, and now if there was like no pawns here, this would be stalemate. But because he has a pawn, he's forced, takes g3, takes h2, g2, h5, and checkmate. And that was the fastest way to win. But my opponent knew the opposition. The king, he knew this position. It's kind of a famous king and pawn endgame motif here, or method. But yeah, that's all for the games I have today. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Have a nice day and peace out.